But right now, I want to welcome to the program Dr. Timothy Wheeler with Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. Dr. Wheeler, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Cam.
Glad you could be with us tonight. I ran across an op-ed from Judith Schechter, who is a Miami pediatrician, the chair of child safety for the Florida Pediatric Society, who took to the pages of the Miami Herald to ask, how could I not ask my patients about guns in the home? And I said, it's really simple. You just don't. But apparently there's more to it than that. I don't know. Have you had a chance to read this op-ed, Dr. Wheeler?
I have, Cam. I have.
Okay, so her basic argument is, look, I've seen bad things happen to kids, either accidents or intentional injuries caused by others, and in some cases by themselves, with firearms. So I have to ask everybody about guns in the home so that I can tell people, get rid of them, in essence.
Well, yeah, Cam, Dr. Schechter is employing an old tactic here, trying to inflame emotions and use that as a shield for her activities that are really very questionable. Dr. Schechter is an academic pediatrician. She's at the University of Miami. And I see here that I was just looking around on the Internet, and she actually has an American Academy of Pediatrics member spotlight. They actually feature her because of some grant that she got. And she's an AAP member, American Academy of Pediatrics. These things mean that Dr. Schechter has to be aware of the American Academy of Pediatrics anti-gun policies. But she didn't mention any of that in her op-ed. She just, tried to lead readers to think that she's this innocent doctor trying to promote gun safety, when in fact she is a member of an organization that has long tried to use the situation of doctors asking their families and patients and their parents about guns in the home so that they can turn them against gun ownership. They can actually make it appear to be a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, she kind of, if you read between the lines, I think, and if you follow this issue, you understand it. She says, quote, as a doctor, I routinely ask questions that would be inappropriate in other settings. The questions are asked for good reason in any private setting with confidentiality assured with state and federal laws protecting the privacy of any health information a patient may confide in me. She says the asking leads to bidirectional understanding and targeted learning. When I learn that a family has 3 firearms in its home, how they're stored, and whether they are loaded, I can then help that family understand how that might or might not pose a risk based on the specific stage of development their child is in or is about to enter. I can then work with the family to help minimize risk in a way that makes sense for their situation. I've never had a family take offense to the safety questions I ask. Dr. Wheeler, I don't need my doctor to tell me how to store my firearms. I don't want my doctor to try to tell me how to store my firearms any more than I want my firearms instructor to give me a physical, for that matter.
Absolutely. And there is no pediatric residency or medical school in the United States that teaches any courses on home defense or firearms tactics or even firearms safety. So she has no qualifications to be asking these questions at all. The only justification in any kind of official policy in the specialty of pediatrics has to do with gun confiscation and telling everybody about how terrible guns are.
And that's the code phrase, minimize risk. I mean, that's what all of those suggestions fall under, right? Well, here are ways to help you minimize risk. If you just get rid of all of your firearms, then you wouldn't have to worry about it. I mean, that falls under minimizing risk.
That's right. And again, it's just a cover for what their real designs are, which is to push this anti-gun agenda. I've got a suggestion for Dr. Schechter and all the other pediatricians who are so outraged about this issue and are up in arms. I would suggest that the American Academy of Pediatrics approach the National Rifle Association or the United Sportsmen of Florida, for that example, or for that matter, and offer to partner with them on teaching firearm safety to their kids, to the kids in their practice, or to the parents. Let's see if they do that. I think that would be a way to redeem themselves from this whole mess that they got themselves into back in the 90s, in the 1990s, and which is following them to this day. they've got a bad reputation for being anti-gun and for being very, very vocal about it, and even worse, using their authority and the trust of their patients to try to push this anti-gun political agenda right there in the doctor's office, in the exam room. Dr. Schechter, in her first line of her op-ed, says, "How does a law-abiding pediatrician become a career criminal?" Well, I'll tell you how she does. She becomes a career criminal by misusing her authority and the trust of her patients to push a political agenda of gun control.
There you go. Dr. Wheeler, I can't thank you enough, sir, for coming on the program. It is always a real pleasure, and I look forward to doing this again very soon.